The accusation against Tony Blair has been very widely put that he's a liar, that he lied to Parliament and that he lied to the electors, he lied to the world about his beliefs that Saddam Hussein had WMDs. Well, the fact of the matter is that everybody thought that Saddam Hussein had WMDs at that point. Even Dr. David Kelly, who later went on to die, was convinced that Saddam Hussein had WMDs. He had form, he'd used them before, there was no evidence that he'd got rid of them. And intelligence can get it wrong. I'll tell you a personal story here. About 3 weeks after the fall of Baghdad, my wife Judy and I met Tony Blair and Cherie Blair. And this question of the missing WMDs had become extant by then. I think the Daily Mirror had begun to run its 21 days with no WMDs thing, and it was becoming a problem. And it was the first thing that I asked him. I said, well, what's happening, do you think? Now, I've been a journalist since I was 16. I've worked in most aspects of the media, and there's one thing you do pick up along the way. It's a sort of an instinct as to whether people are telling you the truth or not, whether they're shooting you a line or spinning something. And I can only tell you that when Tony Blair said to us, oh, they're there, we'll find them. It's only been 3 weeks. It's chaos in Iraq at the moment. We're trying to stop an insurrection. We'll get round to looking for them properly. He's hidden them well, but they'll be under the sand somewhere. And Cherie chipped in, and she said, well, let's face it, she said, either these weapons existed and exist, or the CIA and the British Secret Service are crap. Except she didn't say crap. And it turns out that it was the latter. And I don't think you can blame a government for acting against a known tyrant, as Andrew says, with form, a man who'd already invaded Kuwait years before and had to be kicked out of there, for acting on what turned out to be faulty intelligence that every country in the world believed was true. So I think when Blair comes to the inquiry next week, I think we'll see that he's not a liar at all, but he was operating on faulty intelligence.
Richard, I can't remember. Lovely Bracknell. That's Kennington Park. And we're going to go past Richard and Judy's.
Richard and Judy's old studios. Well, they're not still using them, are they?
No, I think they sleep in the park now.
Yeah.
Most of the time. But I was interviewed by them about the Gulf War a few years ago. It's down there, Cactus Studios.
Yes.
And Richard was all there. I think this war's, I was talking to Tony the other day. I think this war's actually going to... And you think, oh, shut up, you name-dropping. He didn't say I was... He did that on Question Time recently. He said, what did he say? I've been a journalist since I was 16 years old. And I thought, oh, right, so what you're telling us is you have absolutely no qualifications whatsoever. And he said, you get a pretty good instinct for these things. You get a pretty good instinct. And I was talking to Tony the other day, and I think he's telling the truth. Well, do you think this would stand up in an international judicial inquiry? That you were talking to Tony the other day, and you have a journalistic instinct?
Got an instinct that he really was telling the truth. He is telling the truth. He believes he did the right thing. That's true.
He passionately believes he's doing God's work, but has not asked God what needs doing.
No.
I think God probably would give him some light dusting to do, or get some card and crayons out and say, you just do.
You do the colouring, and I'll sort out what's going on over in Iraq.
Get over to the left here because he looks like he's.